So we are in for a great matchup here as a possible huge upset alert may be in store in this series as we have the number 1 Vegas Golden Knights against the number 12 Chicago Blackhawks. We'll be taking a look at these two teams head to head, how they match up in this series, and I'll be leaving a prediction at the end of the video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. And let's take a look at this Western Conference matchup between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Vegas Golden Knights. Oh boy, so we are in for a heck of a series here in the Western Conference as we have the number 1 at the end of the round robin. We've got the number 1 Vegas Golden Knights going up against the last team to get in the Western Conference in the number 12 Chicago Blackhawks. Now, we saw the same scenario actually play out in the Eastern Conference as the Montreal Canadiens will take on the number 1 Philadelphia Flyers. So this is going to be a heck of a matchup. Are we in for the ultimate upset? We'll be taking a look at that in this video. So, head-to-head, both teams during the regular season, the Vegas Golden Knights won 2 of the 3 games. They were the better team overall, but in one of those wins, it did take a shootout. So, you know, the Chicago Blackhawks went 1-1-1, so they didn't really do that bad in the matchup overall. And the Vegas Golden Knights, I mean, they did really well this season. They really kind of took things over. You know, 86 points on the season. That's a pretty solid season for the Vegas Golden Knights. And 72 points on the season for the Chicago Blackhawks, not too bad considering they're in the midst of a rebuild, or at least trying to get out of one, especially after getting Kirby Dach last season. So let's see how this matchup looks. Now, there's a couple of backstories here as well, I'm sure you know. The big one being in between the pipes, as we could see Robin Lehner as the starting goaltender in this series. Now, it's not for certain. Marc-Andre Fleury could be the guy here for the Vegas Golden Knights, but I really like Robin Lehner's chances. And not to mention, remember last July when Robin Lehner left the New York Islanders? Where did he sign? That's right, he went to the Chicago Blackhawks. So, and then the Chicago Blackhawks traded him at the NHL trade deadline to the Vegas Golden Knights. So we're seeing that kind of come back to bite the Blackhawks in the butt here, which is probably not what the Blackhawks were expecting when they made that deal at the trade deadline. We may be playing him in the playoffs. That wasn't really a thought at the time for the Chicago Blackhawks, but welcome to 2020. That's how things work. So, looking at both these teams, the Vegas Golden Knights, up and down the lineup, there really isn't many weaknesses, and we've seen that through the last couple of seasons, really. You know, do I want to bring up that San Jose Sharks game? That's probably their one weakness, but overall, they have been a really difficult team there in that Western Conference, and ever since they've been in the NHL, they have been a threat to win that Stanley Cup, and the first 3 years have been really solid for the Vegas Golden Knights. And the Chicago Blackhawks, kind of on a different side of the spectrum. They kind of came into this, they barely squeaked in. If there was a different format, they may not have even been in this situation. So, how does this look from both these teams? You know, the Blackhawks, like I said, they're the team that is the absolute underdog. But not to mention, you know, let's also remember they've got some guys in that roster that have won a couple of Stanley Cups, and their fingers are a little bit heavy because they've got some Stanley Cup rings on them. Guys like Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, Duncan Keith, Corey Crawford. We need to go any more further down the list. Brandon Saad, as bad as that Panarin trade was, but still, that is a very solid lineup for the Chicago Blackhawks. And then you've got the Vegas Golden Knights, Mark Stone, Alex Tuch, Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson. You go down the list on that side, and it's a pretty solid group over there in Vegas. So, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I like the defensive side of things for the Vegas Golden Knights, but both these teams are not like super, super good on the defensive side of things, specifically the Blackhawks. I think that's their weakness here in this series. And the depth of Vegas, they've definitely had to deplete on that blue line a little bit to keep guys like Mark Stone and Marchessault, Pacioretty. I think that's a little bit of an issue for the Vegas Golden Knights, but I think both sides, it's just going to be which defense is better, and the goaltending. I mean, we may see Corey Crawford versus Robin Lehner in this series, and I'm going to be having a ton of popcorn in the process of that. That sounds like an amazing series. That top line, or really that second line, for the Chicago Blackhawks was really critical in that series against the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, let's remember, they just knocked off the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, in a best-of-3 series. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Like I said, the depth of Vegas is going to be an issue for the Chicago Blackhawks. And we remember in that game against the Dallas Stars, that first round robin game, they were down 3-0, and they came all the way back, won the game 4-3. So the belief is there for the Vegas Golden Knights, and I think that could be a real issue for the Blackhawks. They were able to run up the score on the Edmonton Oilers. The goaltending seemed to be an issue for the Oilers. I don't think we're going to see that here in this series. Now, it kind of brings up the question, do you let Robin Lehner start so he could get his revenge against the Chicago Blackhawks, or is that the wrong move because the Blackhawks know Robin Lehner's weaknesses and they can maybe exploit that? So maybe they go with Marc-Andre Fleury. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. That dynamic between both Lehner and Fleury, they're both very solid, capable goaltenders. So it's going to be interesting to see what Pete DeBoer does there with the Vegas Golden Knights. Once again, the year is 2020. The fact I'm saying Pete DeBoer is the head coach in Vegas blows my mind. But anyway, let me know in the comment section down below, who do you have winning this series? Now let's get into my predictions. So who do I have winning this series? And I'm going to be honest, I like the Vegas Golden Knights in this series. And the reason for that, I mean, it's not just the fact that they're the top seed in the conference. It's also that depth that they have and the goaltending. And I'm really sold on that goaltending. And I just believe that defense is just a little bit better than the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, the Blackhawks actually did pretty well in that round-robin series, or in that qualifier series against the Oilers, because they were able to run all their lines. That Brandon Saad line looked really solid in the Oilers series. But how does that translate here against a Vegas Golden Knights team that is more well-rounded and isn't as top-heavy as the Edmonton Oilers? The Chicago Blackhawks' depth will definitely be tested in this series. And I think we're going to see the Vegas Golden Knights get things done in 6 games, avoid the upset, avoid all that stuff. I think they get things done against the Chicago Blackhawks in 6 games. I think Crawford's a really solid goaltender, but as he starts to get older, I think he's going to get peppered with a ton of shots in this series. I think the Vegas Golden Knights system under Pete DeBoer, it's going to be too much to handle for the Chicago Blackhawks, the young, up-and-coming Blackhawks. I just think it's going to be too much. I think the Vegas Golden Knights get things done in 6 games. So let me know in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to win this series? Best of 7 now, not best of 5. Let me know who is going to win this series in the comment section down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.